Hey, good evening, guys. It's Goose here. Welcome to STN's Nightly Watch List. It is Tuesday night. This is the watch list for the 19th, which is Wednesday. I have a pretty short list, but I got a couple things to talk about, so I want to jump right into it. So let me get going here. Hopefully, you guys have checked us out over at stocktraders.net. Here's our disclaimer here, just to remind you guys, nothing I'm covering today is any type of solicitation. It's just me giving you information. It's all for informational purposes, just try to help you guys out, tell you what I'm looking at, also some thoughts on the overall picture on some things today. I'm going to talk about TLRY and some of the marijuana names that are going too, the pot names. So let me just jump right into this. Please read a disclaimer and know that this is just for you guys and information, and get through that. And hopefully you guys have checked us out over at stocktraders.net, gotten some fantastic feedback. Please continue to hit that like button to help me out, and make sure you have any comments, good, bad, or indifferent. I'll take them all, guys. I've been around long enough where I got pretty thick skin. So if you like what I'm doing or you'd like to see more of something else, shoot me a message. Jump in the stocktraders.net free trading room. You can message any of the mods, ask questions, and obviously other traders are in there as well to discuss, as well as us. So anyway, let's jump right into it. I'm going to start off right now. Hang on a sec. Let me get this off of there so you guys can see it. I'm going to jump right into VKTX. So VKTX, I'm going to spend some time try to keep this short, but I do want to talk about a couple of these names. This is what I'm looking at VKTX. I was very, very surprised, guys, at the end of the day here. This was a complete long setup for me. But I told everybody in the room that I wanted to see it trade at 21. I reiterated that a bunch of times. It never did really trade up there towards that 21, make that higher low and pass through the trend line, as you could see. Kind of held all day long right here through this, through this late afternoon. Looked like it was going to blow through it, and I was very shocked, which made me think right at the end of the day, I was talking to a couple of members in there that, man, I was sold after hours that they were going to come out with some sort of raise. Keep in mind, yes, they have money, guys. This is not a poor company, meaning they have some cash. But they've also tapped into their shelf. I don't remember the exact number, how much is left, but they've tapped into it, I think 3 times over the last 12 months. I don't think they won't do it again if the opportunity is there. Stock was up $10 today or whatever it is, or more at one point. So I do see that coming, and that's why I'm going to be going into today based on the end of day action. I'm going to be more short biased. Doesn't mean I'm not going to play the long, and let me show you what I'm looking at here. This action right here, all this open here with this 22 to 23 level right here, this is what I'm looking at, and all this volume down here. So I'm going to look at this 22, 23 for a potential starting point or a watch to try to put on a fade in the morning. If it doesn't push up and goes the other way, I'll tell you where I'm looking at the longs. But any type of push in that area is what I'm looking for a potential fade. You could see how high it got up in this is actually, I think, a bad print, but up in this 27 or 28 area. But it didn't hold it. You could see where all the volume kind of came in between this 22 and 18 or 19 area. So I'm going to look for an early push to fade in the morning. And I really do think in the next couple of days you're going to see a raise on the company. That's just based on the history of the company and what my gut's telling me on this. And the way it traded at the end of the day, I really think it should have blown up over to 22.5, 23 by the way it was acting. And it didn't, which tells me something. Next thing about it is from the long side. What am I looking at? I drew a retrace on the daily here, as you can see. And right here, you see the first level of interest is going to be right down here in this $17 area. And the next level is going to be right into this monthly pivot, 1550, which matches right up with the 60%. That's just something I'm going to really consider as far as taking a little bit more size on if it gets there and if it soaks in that level for a bounce play. I think that's going to be pretty much the key level for tomorrow. We'll see what the action is. I think there's going to be a really nice trade on VKTX. Going to switch over to a couple easier ones now. I'm going to switch over to ROKU next, ROKU, and this is going to be pretty cut and dry on ROKU. And what I want to just show you is going up to the 5-minute here. I'll show you what the action was. You can see the support level here all day long, 7150 area. I'm going to look at trading and potential long. If you look at the daily, you kind of see like it looks like it wants to break out and push up on this pivot up here at 76. So I'm going to look to maybe trade it off this previous resistance, which it held all day on Tuesday, which is today, 7150, 7160, if I get it in that area. But you could also see if it clears this area, which was a VWAP all day, 7260, that's also going to trigger a long. So I put in my notes 7250 if it clears through that for a long, as well as if it starts holding that 7150, 7160 area, that's also an area. So I'm completely long bias on that. The only short I have on this, if it makes a crazy extended push into 76, then I'll look for a fade on it. But other than that, I'm going to be long by. So I'm going to cover BABA real quick again. I know I covered it a couple days back, had a really good trade on it. And I'm telling you, I really think on this name. I know it's funny. I'm not married to BABA, guys. This isn't. I'm not going to keep going back and forth to the same names. But listen, this is getting a little bit crazy between the China stuff going on. I really think that this thing has been oversold. You know, I think some people agree with me. Maybe not everybody, but that's okay. And I think there's some pretty good levels to trade off of. So what I'm going to look at, BABA, is I'm going to look at that 155.5, which is the lows from today, which is Tuesday, as you can see. 155.5. It kind of held it a few times, as you see. This early pull down, stopped. You can see it never really cleared the open VWAP, but held it again down late day and pushed back up. So that's the first level I'm going to look at. The other level is going to be just like the last stock that we looked at, that ROKU. See how it couldn't get through this 156 or 157 area? That's what I'm going to look at, and that's going to trigger along for me through 157. I think this is going to head back up towards that 163 to 165. I believe there's a lot of political stuff going on right now that I think is kind of built into the name, and I think it's a little bit oversold in the name. So I think there's plenty of room on this name, and I'm going to be long bias on BABA for tomorrow. Lastly, I'm going to touch on CGC, and then I'm going to talk about the sector real quick, try to get a minute or two in on that, because I think it's really important to talk about. And I'm going to talk about CGC, and there's a reason I'm covering CGC versus any of the other ones, and I want to talk about that in a second. But let me just talk about the technical side of CGC. CGC is pushing up, after hours. You can see it's at 52.5 or so. I'm looking at two levels on CGC for a fade, excuse me, is 54.5 first. Is going to be, as you can see, a monthly pivot area, 54.5. And the next level is going to be right up into this prior resistance of 56.5. It's a little bit higher than that, but let's call it 56.5. I do think I'll be setting up definitely for a fade on CGC. And this is what I want to talk about real quick, and then I'll leave it at that. So that's the only trade on CGC. It's just all fade related. I'm looking at either the 52-week high, which is 56.5, or into that monthly pivot. I think, every time I've made money on these type of things, it's been on the sympathy plays. If you remember the dry ship days, which wasn't that long ago, I mean, I could go way back into, any of the times that we're, talking about, from the early pot days, years back, to even, the .com era, which I was actually trading in. So, I mean, it's always better to play the sympathy plays in this. You've just been better off. And what I mean by that is, listen, TLRY was on Kramer's show. It's going bonkers after hours. I don't even know where it's up to, a 170 right now while I'm recording this, or just under, and it's carrying them all up with them. Listen, guys, that is a different capital structure. I've talked to people in the room all the time in this. The floats have rotated. It's a completely different company and capital structure than CGC, than Kron, than the MBEVs, and all these other little names that are throwing their hey, we're in marijuana too type thing, or this is our role in it. You gotta treat them different. See, when they drag these things up, they usually set up for really sweet fades. One day TLRY will give it, and it will be a nice trade, and who knows when that's going to be. But in the meantime, when these things start getting pulled up on this kind of stuff, I always look for the fade, because any weakness in those names, the main names, it's not worth it for me to short, because they get really crowded, they move, there's huge gaps in them, there's, you gotta really give $2 or $3 ranges in this, and the easier trades are the CGCs, the Krons, and names like that. So I'm looking at CGC right now because it's approaching that, monthly pivot and this, but listen, don't get caught up staring at TLRY and trying to catch that $2 trade. I was going to play a joke on you guys and put TLRY in there trying to look for a 50-cent trade, but I only do that because I know there's people that are literally trying to scalp $1, $2 and wait for the highs. It's not worth it. By the time you get it right, you've already lost 2 or 3 times, and by the time you get it right, you're making up your losses. There are people that are hitting it. Don't watch social media and look at the guy that says, hey, I made $50,000 on TLRY, okay? He probably's not going to post about the time he's already dropped $70,000, $80,000, okay? So don't think that it's all gravy out there. These names have been incredible. There's been incredible ranges. There have been some people making some really good money on them, but the easier money has been on the sympathy plays. I just really believe that. And remember what I tell you guys in the room all the time, guys. It's about longevity in this business, okay? I could promise you there's people that did really well on dry ships and names like that, and they're no longer in the business anymore, okay? You want to make money every single day and do it the smart way by doing that. You're not trying to swing for the fences on a $10,000 or $20,000 trade if your normal day is $1,000 or $1,500. Okay, guys, it doesn't happen that way. I've been doing this a long time, so just trust me with that. So anyway, CGC on my watch. Be really safe with the marijuana names, and remember, these things are going to get overly extended, and that to me is going to be where the easy money is at, on the overextended sympathy plays, guys. Let TLRY keep dragging these things forward. They'll make the intraday trades perfect for you guys. Watch for those levels, watch for those trend breaks, be patient when the trend breaks. Make sure there's plenty of gap between where it breaks and the VWAP to give yourself a little meat on the bone, and then you crush it. Okay, guys, I'm going to stop there. Let's have a great day tomorrow. Look forward to seeing what we do. TLRY should make it interesting for these sympathy plays like I'm talking about. Hope you guys have a great evening, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Check us out, please, at stocktraders.net, and hit that like button if you like what I'm talking about. Thank you guys very much. Bye.